This is the Volkswagen Tayron, a new larger SUV that replaces the Tiguan Allspace. And just like the regular 5-seat Tiguan, it offers plenty of great attributes, but this one has the choice of 5 or 7 seats depending on the version you choose. And there's much more to this SUV than just that. So stick around, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell, and let's check out the new Tayron from Volkswagen. There are 4 different takes on the Tayron theme in Australia, and there is a bit of difference between the different grades in terms of the powertrain offerings. So a couple of different engines, front wheel drive or all wheel drive, but we'll cover that off shortly. Now let's talk about this model range and the pricing on offer. Now firstly, we're going to talk about the entry level grade, the 110 TSI Life, and it does have a lowish price point, below $50,000, and it gets plenty of standard spec and tech for the money. 18-inch alloy wheels, LED lighting, you've got a power tailgate and keyless entry. On the inside, you'll find a digital instrument cluster, a 12.9-inch touchscreen media system with sat-nav as standard, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, digital radio, a wireless phone charger, you've got semi-autonomous park assist, and a surround view camera system even in that entry-level grade. Up from there is the 150 TSI Life, so it gets a bigger engine with all-wheel drive, but still with the same sort of spec level, a few extras I'll tell you about in a sec, but it also moves from a 7-seater to a 5-seater. It's the only 5-seat model in the range, and if you just need a bigger SUV with a big boot, it could be a very good choice. But it also gets a few good features, including adaptive chassis control. It gets chrome roof rails, rear privacy glass, and upgraded LED plus headlights with illuminated light bars front and rear. Then there's this one behind me, which is the 150 TSI Elegance. It's a bit more luxurious with a few more family-friendly features, 7 seats once again, and it also gets different looking 19-inch alloy wheels. Leather appointed upholstery, there's ergo active front seats with power adjustment, memory settings, massage functions, heating and ventilation as well. And at the top of the range is the 195 TSI R-Line. R-Line is the sportier drive experience. It gets a more powerful engine, still with all-wheel drive, still with 7 seats, but it gets 20-inch alloy wheels, the R-Line exterior body kit, and the R-Line interior finishing. It gets a different steering system called progressive steering. There's a head-up display, a Harman Kardon sound system. You get matrix LED lights with adaptive high beams, and there's different dynamic indicators at the rear, as well as that big 15-inch touchscreen. So I reckon that there's something pretty much for everyone if you don't need hybrid tech, but we'll get to the powertrains shortly. And let's also talk about some alternatives, because there are some hybrids out there that you might want to consider if you're thinking about a big 7-seat SUV. A great alternative to this is the Hyundai Santa Fe. There are a couple of different versions available, with a turbo petrol version and a petrol electric hybrid, which this car doesn't offer, and I reckon it is a very good powertrain. I lived with a Santa Fe hybrid for about 6 months, and I bloody loved it for the most part. Some annoying safety tech, but the space on offer inside and the real-world fuel efficiency is excellent, and there are plenty of different versions available to choose from too. Another option you might want to consider if you're thinking, well, I want a European car, but I don't necessarily want this one, the Skoda Kodiaq would be a great choice. 7 seats and all-wheel drive as standard. It gets a longer warranty than this as well, and it's pretty competitively priced from about $56,000 drive away. And if you're thinking, well, I am very conscious about my money, I do want to save a little bit right now, and I still want a 7-seater, but I want it to have lots of stuff, we could have a look at the Chery Tiggo 8 Super Hybrid. Now that plug-in hybrid SUV has a 90-kilometer EV driving range and a pretty efficient turbo petrol engine when you're not using EV, but it's also got plenty of standard spec, and it starts at $46,000. So it is a very impressive thing for the money, and I reckon if you are trying to save a bit, well, it offers a lot for the cash. But what would you do? Any of those? This? Something else? Have your say. The Tayron is an all-new model with an all-new look. It looks very different to the Tiguan Allspace, but still has some of those hallmarks that you would expect of a Volkswagen, but new stuff as well, like the illuminated light bar and the illuminated badge at the front. And this one is the Elegance grade, so it gets that, and it gets these 19-inch alloy wheels, which I don't necessarily love. I think that there are better wheels available on other versions, but you can see for yourself, it is a pretty large vehicle. I'll put all the dimensions on your screen now. It's only about 5 centimeters longer than before, but because of the design of it, it does have a bulkier look, and I'll put the ground clearance on your screen as well. It's not too bad for an SUV like this. At the rear, it does have a pretty distinctive design, again with the LED light bar and the illuminated badge, and I think it actually looks pretty cohesive, pretty finished, and well, a little bit boxier and a bit more American-ish than the existing Tiguan Allspace. Now let's have a look in the boot and see what we are working with. Electric tailgate, standard across the range, and you can see right there, when it's in 5-seat configuration, you are getting more than 800 litres of cargo capacity. Now, it's got some really good features beyond that. I'm going to pull those seats up in a sec to show you what the space is like with them up. But you can see there that you've got some hooks for your shopping bags, 12-volt ports. You've also got remote releases right there for those seats as well. And on the other side, you've also got another shopping bag hook, a light as well, little storage cubbies on the side, but that also opens up underneath with, yeah, a spare wheel. So you do get a space saver spare wheel and a spot to store your cargo cover, which is underrated, I reckon, because if you lose it, well, it's going to be expensive to replace. Now let me pull up these third row seats and we can have a look at what we are working with when it's in full-scale family-friendly mode. Now the seats were a little bit tight there because of the way that seat is configured, but have a look at that. Yes, more than 300 litres of cargo capacity behind, but we'll have to see what the actual human space is like in the third row shortly. But I reckon that is family-friendly enough and certainly pretty practical. You're going to be able to fit some luggage behind there and certainly some school bags, maybe even a small push bike too. So pretty tidy, pretty clever, but let's take a look inside and see how it goes. Okay, let's have a look at the interior of the Tayron, and I reckon it looks and feels pretty good. This is the elegance grade, as I've said, and it does get the bigger 15-inch touchscreen media system. The other lesser versions get the 12.9-inch screen, but you still get this digital instrument cluster in front of the driver, which is very, very nice. And I do think that that adds something to the equation here, because you can adjust the view, you can adjust different elements to it and make it look how you want it to, and jump through different menus and so forth as well. So there's configurability. You use the controls on the steering wheel, and thankfully they are actual regular buttons, not haptic ones, and you do have skip buttons there and volume buttons there, and your gear selector is one of those off the column ones, so forwards for drive, backwards for reverse, on the end for park. You've got paddle shifters as well, and this is your everything stalk with wipers and headlights and blinkers as well. But you shouldn't really need to worry about your headlights because it does have auto lights, as you can see down there, and yes, it's pretty easy to get to terms with in terms of most of the controls. This screen might take a little bit of learning. It is a 15-inch screen, as I said, so it is prominent, but it isn't too big. It doesn't sort of jut out of your dashboard too much compared to some of the others out there. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I've noticed a couple of times that it does cut out when you go through those toll gantries in Sydney at least, so that's a little bit annoying, but apart from that, it seems to work okay. You've got regular menus here, as you can see. You do have built-in sat-nav. If you want to use that, then you can, and it's got, well, a decent map system, I would have to say. And here you'll find that you do have a number of other menus and controls as well. Because it's an all-wheel drive one, it does get off-road views and so forth. If you want to have a look at what's been going on, where you are in space and time, then you can do that. That's pretty neat. But also you do have drive modes available to you. You can go through the screen to get to them, or you can just use that little button at the top there. You can configure an individual mode, and if you do so in the higher spec versions that have the dynamic chassis control adaptive dampers, you can configure it basically to your tastes. And that is great because, well, it gives you the opportunity to make it as comfy or as firm feeling as you prefer it to be. Otherwise, you've just got those preset ones if you do want to use those. Now, there's also the assistance functions Very easy to get your head around. Just tap that one there and you can quickly turn off your lane keeping if you don't want it. The speed warning, it will stay off if you turn it off. You've got a drowsiness monitor and an attention monitor, but it doesn't get on your nerves and it doesn't get it wrong. So in lots of other cars, it's a little camera that just constantly watches you, and even if you just look in your mirrors, it can tell you you're not paying attention. Or even if you're looking at that screen, it'll say you're not paying attention. Whereas in this car, it will tell you that you're not paying attention if you use this screen for too long. And if you are actually really, really badly distracted, it will tell you. But it is very, very good in terms of that integration. I'll tell you more about the safety stuff later, but you do also have a drop-down menu there if you want to get to terms with some other elements of the screen there, you can. You've got a parking camera system, auto park assist as well if you do want to use it, and a surround view camera, which is very handy too. You can adjust the view there if you want to. So yeah, pretty handy, pretty nifty, I would say. And yes, you've also got some quick controls that you can get to if you want to, and you can configure that as well. But yeah, if you just use Apple CarPlay, I think you'll be pretty happy unless you go through lots of tolls. And then you've got this section down here, which is common across lots of new generation Volkswagen products. You do have climate control adjustments on the screen. So yes, once you turn the climate control on, you've got fan speed adjusters on the screen, but you do have sliders for your actual temperature settings. And there is a recirc button there, demister buttons there, and your seat controls are there on screen as well. So you can go into your massage functionality if you want to. So you do have multiple different ways of adjusting your massage and the intensity of your massage, apparently. And then you've got ventilation and heating controls for your seats there too. So that is pretty nifty. You don't have to have that click on all the time if you don't like the click. But yeah, it's all pretty good. In fact, I've got to terms with this pretty simply, and I think you will too if you are au fait and okay with new generation screen technology. Now, down below, you don't have the little quick button that you usually get in some other models with like climate and drive controls and stuff, because obviously they've gone, I don't need that. So that's actually simplifying things a little bit. You do have regular vents, which are easy to adjust. You've got this little tray here, which is a great little storage nook. There's wireless phone charging and USB-C ports. You've got this smart control dial here. So it can be a volume dial if you want it to be, but if you tap it, it can also be a drive mode controller. So that's pretty neat. Start button there, handbrake there, or park brake I should say, and you've got this adjustable section for storage in the middle too, and cup holders that are hidden away, and you can actually pull them out if you don't want them. So that's handy, and a 12-volt port there too. So it's all pretty well considered, I have to say. There are lined pockets in the doors, which is excellent because it means that your bottles and stuff won't rattle around. And in this elegance grade, you do get this lovely seat trim with the white piping. I think it looks great. The seats are comfy. They've got the little under thigh adjustment if you're a tall unit. I hear that is very, very, very helpful for those with long legs. But up here, you'll also see that you've got a sunglasses holder, and there are illuminated vanity mirrors, and the visors don't actually adjust, which is maybe a little bit annoying, but you do get a grab handle up the top. And I reckon that generally, it's pretty good. You get an auto dimming rear vision mirror, but you don't get SOS call functionality like some other cars because it doesn't have connected services. And that's one thing that might be a little bit annoying compared to some of the new models out there, which allow you to connect up to your phone and use an app on your phone to adjust things. But hey, it's a petrol car, so maybe that's not necessarily as relevant. But let's check out the second row space, and then I'm going to jump in the third row and see if I can fit. This seat is set for my driving position. I am 6 foot tall, so it is set back a little bit, and I've got lots and lots of knee room, and foot room is exceptional in this vehicle for someone my size. Now, I'll slide the seat forward shortly to show you what the space is like if you need more space for those in the very back, but the headroom is very, very good. As you can see, there are overhead lights and overhead grab handles and little hooks as well for your coat, and you do have some multi-pocket pockets on these seats as well. So 1, 2, 3 on both seats. You've also got climate control, as you can see down there. The vents are down low. Some other vehicles might have up high vents, but this 7-seater doesn't have that, which is maybe a bit disappointing. You get USB-C ports down there, and also outboard seat heating too, which is pretty nifty. And there is a bit of a transmission tunnel intrusion to contend with there, so be mindful of that. In terms of the occupant space back here, you do have 3 top tethers and 2 ISOFIX points, so you can put ISOFIX seats in the window seats. And here you'll see you've got a flip down armrest with some pop out cup holders, which is actually pretty nifty. And well, the next question is, can I get into the back seats? So let me show you if I can or not. Oh, first, there is some sunshades on this grade as well, and the lined door pockets, which does make a big difference. But let's have a look at the space and the usability of me trying to get into the third row space. Now, great thing, you can tuck that little seatbelt in there, and when it comes to getting into the very back, well, you've got this tilt and slide mechanism, which does make it a little bit easier to get in, but if you're big of foot, you might find that it is a little bit tight. I'll put these headrests up to give you a better idea. That seat is also in the furthest most backest positionist, but yeah, let's have a look, see what we're working with here. Just like a Skoda Kodiaq, it's yeah, it's tight. It's not ideal for someone 6 foot. Now, I would still be able to fit there, but maybe not comfortably, and I certainly am not overly comfortable in this position in the very back. Headroom as well, quite tight, and no air vents in the very back either. So there are some considerations when it comes to this third row packaging, and also you don't get top tether points and you don't get ISOFIX points. So these are strictly sometimes seats for people that are able to use them, and I would say it will limit its appeal somewhat. There is a little section there for storage and on the other side as well. But yeah, it's certainly not necessarily the most roomy third row experience. In fact, I would say it's up there with one of the least roomy third rows in this segment. There are a couple of different powertrains on offer in this lineup. None of them are hybrid. They're all turbo petrols, but there are some differences between them. So the entry-level 110 TSI model, it is a front-wheel drive 1.4 litre turbo petrol engine, 110 kilowatts, 250 newton meters, with a 7-speed dual-clutch auto. So it's not going to suit everyone, and it does have a lesser towing capacity, which you'll see on your screen now, than the all-wheel drive versions. Now, if you step into one of those all-wheel drives like this, the 150 TSI, you are getting a bigger engine, a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol with 150 kilowatts, 320 newton meters, still with a 7-speed dual clutch, but with all-wheel drive as standard. And then if you go for the 195 TSI R-Line, you are getting 195 kilowatts and 400 newton meters from your 2-litre turbo with all-wheel drive and a 7-speed dual clutch. So it could be a more thrilling experience than the other models in the lineup. And also, the all-wheel drive models do have that higher towing capacity. Just be mindful though, your downball weight limit is 200 kilos, no matter which version you pick. So it's not a towing beast, but it does have better towing capacity on paper than some of the rivals in its segment. Right, let's go see what it's like to drive. Okay, before we get going, I've got to turn off all the safety. Actually, I don't have to turn off any of the safety systems because this car gets it right. So there's speed sign recognition, and it won't beep and bong at you to tell you that you've entered a new speed zone. It won't beep and bong at you to tell you that it thinks that you're speeding, because it can still get it wrong. It's occasionally reading 110 signs on the freeway as 70. So if it were beeping, it would be really annoying, but it's not. And there's also a driver monitoring system that will do the right thing by you. It won't just get on your nerves and frustrate you and make you want to punch it. So that's all great, I would say. And so is the other active safety tech, and the fact that you're getting the surround view camera just makes it so much easier to park on the daily. It's great when you're looking outside of the car, but if you're looking from inside the car, your rear vision is not great because those headrests, and if you have heads against those headrests, will be full, and that will fill up your view. There is no digital camera mirror available in this model lineup, and that's maybe a miss compared to some of the new models out there. If you are experienced with dual clutch automatic transmissions, it will be easier for you to drive this car. If you aren't, just be mindful. The DSG is a little bit finicky in some situations, but it's certainly nowhere near as bad as they used to be. It's just that you can feel like there is a little bit of hesitation or lagginess in some instances, but it's hardly noticeable compared to the bad old days. Now, this 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol in the elegance grade, the 150 TSI, it is a great engine. It's a great fit for this car, plenty of power and torque, all-wheel drive, and a snappy gear shift when you need it. You've got paddle shifters if you want to take matters into your own hands. You won't need to because it's really logical. And the drivetrain, it's just very easy to get along with. You can hear it a little bit more than maybe you would hope, but at times it's relatively hushed compared to the tyre noise anyway. So there is a bit of tyre noise to contend with, but it's not bad. And when it comes to the usability and drivability of it, well, it's nailing the brief because it's got the typical Volkswagen steering, so it's predictable, it's nicely weighted and easy to manage. At lower speeds, it can be very, very easy to twirl. At higher speeds, it builds confidence. And when it comes to the ride comfort, this one does have the dynamic chassis control system, which does make a big difference to the experience because it means you can tailor it to what you like. It's set on not quite 100% soft, but a little bit beyond the softer side of the midpoint for this car. And I mean, I haven't really bothered to play with it because it is really, really good. But keep this in mind, you can hear quite a lot of the suspension noise, but maybe don't necessarily feel all the lumps and bumps in the surface. You just hear it when it goes over sharp bumps in particular, but it is well mannered and very well controlled, and the handling is excellent for a big 7-seater like this. It's quite a joyful thing to drive, very easy to get along with, easy to come to terms with, and well, yeah, easily a good choice if you like to drive and you want a 7-seater. Brake pedal feel is very honest as well. So I really like the way it drives. I think the all-wheel drive would be a better pick than the front-wheel drive one because you just get a little bit more effortlessness from this engine, but also that extra traction in case you need it. Now, what about efficiency? There are a few numbers to keep in mind when it comes to the efficiency for the Volkswagen Tayron. So the entry-level 110 TSI front-wheel drive, the number for it's on your screen, and then if you step up to the 150 with heaps more power and torque and all-wheel drive, the official fuel use is just incrementally worse. Like 0.1 of a litre, that's impressive. So again, adds to the argument, choose the 150 if you're going to choose any version, and you don't want the 195, which has all the grunts. Now the 195 does have a higher fuel consumption number as well, so keep that in mind, but they all require 95 RON premium unleaded petrol, and I'll put the fuel tank capacity on your screen. The all-wheel drive ones do get slightly better fuel tank capacity, meaning a little bit further distance, but they do use a bit more fuel, so maybe it's negated anyway. But if you're wondering what I've seen over my testing in this car, it's been a shorter loan, but still putting it through the paces that I usually do with every car I drive, and it's been pretty good. You'll see on screen what I've achieved, and I think if you are achieving that kind of number in real world driving all the time, it is going to be pretty easy going in terms of the efficiency, and I mean, it's a pretty easy going car. Very nice, I like it a lot. The Volkswagen Tayron has achieved the maximum 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating. It hasn't been tested by NCAP just yet, but it does have all the same spec and tech as the Euro models to achieve that kind of maximum score, including things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and intersection assistance. There's adaptive cruise control with lane keeping, so it can stop, start and steer for you in some situations. There's also blind spot monitoring, front and rear cross traffic alert, which is excellent, and it will auto brake for you if it doesn't think you're going to and you're going to drive out into the path of traffic, whether that's forwards or backwards. That's actually really helpful technology. There's also a standard surround view camera system, which makes this car so much easier to live with, and I'm grateful for it because big 7-seaters should have surround view camera systems as standard in my opinion. There's park assist, parking sensors all around the car, a speed sign recognition system which isn't shitful, it doesn't beep and bong at you, so that's fantastic. And you've also got that clever driver monitoring system which will actually intervene when it should as opposed to when it thinks it should. So all of that makes this car more appealing than lots of the others out there that maybe get it wrong when it comes to the safety tech. And when it comes to airbag coverage, you've got dual front side, a front center airbag to prevent head clashes in a side impact. Plus you've also got rear side airbags, but you do miss out on third row airbag coverage. So keep that in mind if you plan to use it as a 7-seater all the time. In Australia, Volkswagen offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and the brand also has some pretty good considerations when it comes to the servicing. So if you want to, you can do the whole capped price thing and pay as you go. There's a 5-year 75,000k plan for that. Otherwise, you can prepay for your servicing, and there are a couple of different considerations here. So the 3-year service plan costs are on your screen for the front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive is a little bit more expensive to maintain. And then there's also a 5-year service plan, which will save you like almost $1,000 compared to pay as you go servicing. So keep that in mind, and it might be worth considering that, well, the average service cost for this SUV is still high compared to some of the other 7-seaters out there. And when it comes to the roadside assist, if you service with Volkswagen, it'll top up each time you go back, but if not, you just get 12 months for free. So I don't think that the ownership considerations are necessarily as enticing as some of the others out there, but it is still pretty good for a European SUV in Australia in 2025. This is a pretty convincing model lineup, and I do think that the elegance is the sweet spot if you're looking for a few great features, but you don't want to pay the high spec money for the R line. What do you think? Which one would you pick? Have you seen the comments? I'd love to hear from you. Or would you go for something else? Please let me know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.